They say the forest remembers every sound, every step, every whisper. But sometimes, when the night grows too quiet, it remembers you. There are places where the trees don't just stand, they listen. And if you ever hear your name echo through the dark, don't answer, because what's calling you isn't human. Welcome to the forest that whispers your name. Story 1. The Voice in the Pines. I used to work as a forest ranger in a small national park in Oregon. Most nights were calm, quiet wind, rustling leaves, and the distant calls of owls. But one night in late October, things felt different. The air was colder than usual, and the forest had this unnatural silence, like it was holding its breath. I was doing my last patrol when I heard it. A faint voice coming from the trees. At first it sounded like someone whispering my name. "Daniel," soft, almost carried by the wind. I froze. No one was supposed to be out here. I turned my flashlight toward the sound, but all I saw were the dark shapes of pine trees. Then I heard it again, closer this time. "Daniel, help me." That's when my heart nearly stopped. It was my sister's voice, the same tone, the same way she used to call me when we were kids. But she'd been dead for 5 years. I started walking toward the sound without thinking. Each step felt heavier, and the whisper got louder, clearer, almost right behind me. Suddenly, my radio crackled to life with a colleague's voice. "Ranger Daniels, are you still on Route 9? You're walking away from the trail." I looked down. My GPS showed I was half a mile deep into an unmarked part of the forest. The whisper stopped. Everything went silent again, except for the wind in the trees. When I finally made it back to the station, my boots were covered in mud and pine needles that didn't even exist in our part of the forest. That night, I checked the patrol log. Route 9 didn't exist anymore. It had been closed off years ago, after a ranger went missing. My sister. Story 2. Echoes at the campsite. It happened 2 summers ago, when my friends and I went camping deep in the woods of Washington State. There were 5 of us, college friends looking for a quiet weekend, away from the city noise. We found a clearing near a small lake, far from any marked trail. No cell service, no other campers, just silence. The first night was peaceful. We made a fire, shared stories, and went to sleep around midnight. But sometime after 2 a.m., I woke up to what I thought was my friend, Ben, whispering outside my tent. It sounded like my name. "Eli, come here." Half asleep, I unzipped the tent and looked out. The fire was out, and everything was pitch black. I called softly, "Ben?" No answer. Then I heard it again, only this time, it came from the trees. "Eli, hurry!" My stomach dropped. It was Ben's exact voice, but his tent was zipped shut right beside mine. I could even hear his soft snoring. I backed inside, zipped the tent fast, and tried to wake him. He groaned, half asleep, and mumbled, "Dude, what's wrong?" Before I could answer, the voice outside whispered again, clearer, angrier, "Eli, don't ignore me." Every sound in the forest vanished. No wind, no bugs, just silence and that cold feeling of being watched. I stayed awake until sunrise. When I finally stepped outside, I saw something that made me freeze. Next to my tent, in the dirt, were 5 sets of footprints, all leading out of the forest, but none leading in. Later that day, we checked the forest map. The place we camped? Locals called it the Whispering Ground. They say if you hear your own name after midnight, it's already too late to answer. Story 3. The Watcher in the Woods. I've been a night security guard at a forest reserve for almost 12 years. It's quiet work, checking the cameras, locking the gates, and driving around the outer roads until sunrise. But for the past few months, something has been wrong with this place. It started one foggy night in November. Around 3 a.m., I was doing my rounds near the old ranger tower when I heard someone call my name. Not through the radio, not from the station. It came from the woods. Marcus. I stopped the truck and rolled down the window, thinking it was one of the other guards playing a joke. But the voice was soft, distant, and carried this strange echo, like it was bouncing off the trees. I called out, "Who's there?" No answer, just silence and the sound of the wind moving through the pine needles. A few minutes later, it came again, closer. "Marcus, come see." My flashlight flickered. The batteries were brand new, but the light dimmed each time I pointed it toward the tree line. Then I saw movement, a figure, tall and still, standing between the trees. No details, just a shape, watching me. I reached for the radio, but all I got was static. Then, through the static, I heard my own voice whisper back, "Greater than Marcus, you're already here." That's when I realized the figure wasn't in front of me anymore. It was standing beside the truck, its reflection barely visible in the glass. I hit the gas and didn't stop until I reached the main gate. When I checked the dashcam footage later that morning, it showed nothing. No figure, no sound, except one thing, a whisper at the end of the recording. "See you tomorrow night, Marcus." Story 4. The voice that sounded like me. I was 16 when I got lost in the woods behind my grandparents' cabin. It wasn't a huge forest, at least that's what everyone said. But once you stepped deep enough inside, it felt endless. That evening, I went for a short walk before sunset. I remember the smell of wet soil, the sound of crickets, and then nothing. Silence. No birds, no wind, like the forest was holding its breath. I turned around to head back, but somehow the trail was gone. The trees looked the same in every direction. I tried not to panic. I called out for my grandpa. "Grandpa, I think I'm lost," but no answer. Then, a few seconds later, I heard it. A voice, my own voice, calling back from the distance. "Over here." I froze. It sounded exactly like me. Same tone, same echo. I thought maybe I was imagining things until I heard it again, closer this time. "This way, hurry!" It was impossible. I spun around, shining my flashlight, but the sound kept moving, circling me, always just out of sight. My hands started shaking. I yelled, "Who's there?" And the voice answered, perfectly calm. "You know who I am." That's when I noticed something horrifying. Each time it spoke, the forest shifted slightly, trees bending, shadows twisting like they were listening. I started running, not caring which way I went. The voice followed, copying my breath, my screams, every sound I made. It was me, chasing me. After what felt like hours, I stumbled into the clearing behind my grandparents' cabin. They found me crying, covered in mud. The next morning, my grandpa showed me the spot I'd come from. It was sealed off years ago after a hiker went missing there. He looked pale when I told him what I heard. He just said, "Whatever calls your name in those woods, it's not you answering." Story 5. The recording in the dark. 3 months ago, a local hiker found an old digital recorder deep inside the Black Hollow forest. It was half buried under wet leaves, still blinking red. Somehow, the battery hadn't died. The police released parts of the audio, hoping someone could identify the voice. I managed to hear the full version, and I wish I hadn't. The recording starts with footsteps crunching leaves, a man's voice, calm, maybe late 30s, breathing hard. He keeps saying he's almost out, that he just needs to find the road. Then in the background, you hear faint whispering, soft at first, then clearer. It says he's numb. He stops walking, whispers again, but this time it's his own voice repeating, "You shouldn't have come back." There's silence for a while, then he starts running. Branches break, the sound of his breath gets faster. The whisper follows him, louder, surrounding him. Dozens of voices, all saying his name at once. Then suddenly, everything goes quiet. For 30 seconds, all you can hear is the wind and faint static. Then a new voice, low, calm, right next to the microphone, says, "He's still here." The last few seconds are just breathing. But when the audio was analyzed, technicians noticed something impossible. In the background, beneath the main voice, there was a second recording layer. The same man, whispering his own words before. He actually said them. The recorder is now kept in evidence storage. They say it still turns on by itself sometimes and plays a new voice each time, always whispering the listener's name. The forest grows quiet again, but the whispers never stop. They wait, patient in the shadows, listening for your name. Remember this: the next time you hear your name in the dark, don't turn around. You've been warned. This is MB Dark TV. Stay curious and stay alive.